Hello, hello, happy new year, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ruby, this is Ruby Red, and today I'm going to pick my favorite book of 2021. I'm really nervous about this video, but I'm not gonna let that stop me because it has to be done. And I just want to shout out to my first video on this channel, was my top books of 2020, and I was wearing the same shirt sitting in the same spot. So we're full circle, okay? But my hair's a lot longer now. Anyway, the way that I'm gonna pick my favorite book is by using a bracket. So I think I got this idea from Elizabeth at Plant-Based Bride, and I will link her video doing the same thing down below because it was inspiring and also made me more afraid of what's about to happen to me. But basically, I made this graphic. I'm gonna pick my favorite book from each month of this year, and then I'm going to pit them against each other until we have our top 6, our top 3, and then my favorite book. And I'm really scared. I'm going to try not to be too hard on myself here, but there's really no telling what's gonna happen. I've been very deliberately not looking back through my reads this year. I have been trying to actively not think about all the books that I read and when I read them because I didn't want to pre-work myself up about this. But I do know the books that I read in December and it's not looking good. So, let's just get into it. I've got my Goodreads up and I have sorted the books from 2021 by date read. Okay, January. So there's kind of a lot of books in January. I'm a little bit nervous about this whole thing because I read a lot of books this year, but okay. We started off with Pride and Prejudice, which honestly is a contender. I loved Pride and Prejudice. So it's really between Fever Dream and Pride and Prejudice. I think that those are the two that have stuck with me the most and that I still think about from this time of the year. I'm gonna pick Pride and Prejudice, because this was the beginning of my Jane Austen journey. I just had so much fun reading it, and I want to read it again, and that's not something that I thought that I would feel about Pride and Prejudice, and it is one of my favorites out of all of the Jane Austens that I've read. February, what do we have here? Spying on Whales, I hated that. Girl, Woman, Other, I feel like that's gonna be February. But that's also the same month that I read Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi and The House in the Cerulean Sea. How do you measure a favorite, I loved The House in the Cerulean Sea. I loved Homegoing. I loved Girl, Woman, Other. This is so hard. But I think it's gonna be Girl, Woman, Other because that sort of solidified a favorite genre for me of overarching wide-reaching stories. I don't know. I thought that was a fantastic book, and although House in the Cerulean Sea was also fantastic and gave me so many beautiful warm feelings, I don't know. I'm sticking with Girl, Woman, Other. March. The 5th season. That book was actually amazing, and I wish that the way that I felt reading that book and the excitement I had about it could have carried through the rest of the series because the second book was kind of a letdown, and then the third book I DNF'd. Infinite Country, I did really like that. It's the 5th season or it's Underland. Those are the two that I liked the most. And I know that Underland really gave me a lot to think about. I was having to Google stuff constantly, but I think that the 5th season was just a lot more impactful, and I just think because I so much want the other books from that series to have been that good and they just couldn't live up to it, because it was so good, that means that it was really so good. What am I talking about? Let's move on to April. Braiding Sweetgrass, loved. The Book of Longings, loved. Braiding Sweetgrass and The Book of Longings are both books that have stuck with me. God. So Braiding Sweetgrass is a series. I mean, it's not a series, it's a book, but it's a collection of essays. Is it essays or is it just chapters in a nonfiction book? I'm not really sure. But it's about indigenous wisdom combined with science and like ecological science and plants and ecosystems and what have you. And it's so beautifully written. There are several of the chapters in that book that I still think about and like I could make myself cry just thinking about it. So that was definitely an impactful read, and it's also a book that I will definitely read again. It was fantastic in all ways for me. But The Book of Longings by Sue Monk Kidd, that's a book that I was so hesitant about. Like, I was like, why do I have this? Why am I reading this? But then it was so good and I didn't expect it. And I was like, wow, I do love books like this. So again, that's a book that sort of cemented like a favorite kind of genre or like a niche for me. Oh, that book was so good. But I'm gonna pick Braiding Sweetgrass because if I could get you to read only one of them, I would want you to read Braiding Sweetgrass. So I guess that's like an easy decision when I phrase it like that. Okay, I'll keep that in mind going forward into May. It's Transcendent Kingdom. I love that book. Also by Yajasi, and that book is a book that kind of like dabbles in science and God and mental health all at once. Another like multi-generational kind of story about family and a lot, but it was really, really good. That was one of my favorites this year, so it's going in. Okay, June. First we have Dear Fahrenheit 451, which was really cute and I loved, but whatever. Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors. That's the first of the Rajay trilogy. That's all Jane Austen retellings, and I really loved all of those. Oh my god, there's so many. How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House. I did like, but that, I don't think about it very much. And The Meaning of Human Existence, which I was really like, I was obsessed with that while I was reading it and for a time afterwards, but kind of don't think that much about it anymore. Am I gonna pick Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors as my favorite book from June? I'm going to, because as good as The Meaning of Human Existence was, like if I had to read one of those two books again right now, I would pick Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors. Let's get into July. I'm getting scared. Okay. All right. I have been hemming and hawing for a lot of these, but July, it's The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I just loved that book. I'm so glad that I finally read it. And yeah, it gave me tons of feelings and it kind of wrecked me, and that's what I like in a book. Okay, August. So what's jumping out at me is White Tears, Brown Scars was really, really good. It like explained and explored white feminism in so many different and also like very good, helpful ways. Not even helpful, but just like it really broke it down into digestible anecdotes and examples, and also like how some elements of white feminism can be harmful in both the short and the long term. Fantastic, fantastic book. That was probably my favorite out of all these. All right, let's do September. Okay, it's Between the Poppy War and Hamnet, and that's crazy because those are very different books. But I loved them both so much. The Poppy War, I just loved reading such a cruel, harsh fantasy story that didn't feel, I don't know, like trashy. Like, I just think sometimes books that are very violent, it's like, it's not it. Whereas in this, I just felt like the way that the violence was represented and how the characters reacted to it, etc. I just felt like that was very thoughtful. And I also loved how much of this story was clearly directly impacted by actual historical events, just sort of like reframing a lot of them, and like making such a compelling story. Like I really loved that. Hamnet I also really loved, but it's not super about anything, which I like. And I do think of it fondly pretty often still. I guess I didn't read these that long ago though. Hamnet is about the death of one of Shakespeare's children. It's sort of a hypothesis that like maybe this is how it went down. We don't really actually know what happened to Shakespeare's son, only that he died. And so it's more of a story about the family and Shakespeare's wife and their family and how grief affected them. And I felt like the writing was so beautiful. I loved the imagery of this book, and I loved some of the like nature-y themes. But like if I had to recommend just one of these, it just totally depends on who I'm recommending it to, because they're so different ends of the spectrum of books that I love. Oh no. I think I'm gonna pick Hamnet because I would rather read Hamnet again than read The Poppy War again. Okay, October, I'm really torn. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, I loved. I thought it was like laugh out loud funny at some points. It was also gross and dark and creepy and like thrilling. It was alarming, but there was some time jump stuff that I really didn't like. And then there was Mary Jane, which I really liked. I don't know, that was like, is like favorite material. Maybe it's Anonymous Girl, because that thriller was really fun. It was paced, I kind of feel like perfectly. And like out of all the thrillers that I've scrolled past so far, like I've been like, yeah, it was good, but whatever. But like An Anonymous Girl was like so good. Oh no. Okay, how do I pick? Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna, not the Southern Book Club's Guide, not that one. Forget it. I'm gonna say An Anonymous Girl. That's my favorite book for October. Yeah. As far as a thriller, it had a lot of elements that I found really interesting and fun. And I want to read more from that author duo. And yeah, I was haunted by that. So let's move on to November. Oh god, I already know. It's Into Thin Air, easy. Like that book, I loved. Every time I talk about it, I say like everybody should read this book. I still think that it was a superb novel. I just love. Okay, now December, the last one, and this is gonna be rough. So in December, I read Wool Gathering by Patti Smith, which was a poetry collection, and that's the only 5-star that we have going for us. Let me just say that it's still December and I'm almost done with 2 more books, but neither of them I don't think are gonna be 5 stars, so it's gonna be Wool Gathering by Patti Smith. I love Patti Smith and that book really made me think a lot about poetry, and it kind of sparked an interest in poetry for me and like wanting to write poetry. So yeah, favorite book from December, Wool Gathering. Whew. Okay, that was really hard. I hated that. I'm glad I don't have to do this again until next year. All right. That means that I have to pit these against each other. So we're just gonna go back to January. We're gonna start from the beginning. January versus February. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen versus Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I'm gonna say Pride and Prejudice. I'm gonna say Pride and Prejudice. I'm sorry, Girl, Woman, Other. I really thought you would be one of my top 5s this year, but apparently not. This is just for fun, and it's maybe not the most accurate way to pick your favorite books, okay? Whatever. March and April, we have The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin and Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I'm really sorry, N.K. Jemisin, but this is going to Braiding Sweetgrass. Love, 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 love. Okay. May, June, Transcendent Kingdom by Yaa Gyasi versus Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. This is where The retelling has got to go. Transcendent Kingdom definitely was a better book than Pride and Prejudice and Other Flavors. So sorry. Then July and August, The Vanishing Half versus White Tears and Brown Scars. This is giving me pause. Okay, this is probably our most even match. I think I'm gonna pick White Tears and Brown Scars by Ruby Hamad, I think, because it was a great book. And so was The Vanishing Half. But again, if I'm gonna invite you to read just one of them, I'm more highly going to recommend White Tears, Brown Scars, because I think that what you're gonna get from The Vanishing Half, you can get from other books. But I think White Tears and Brown Scars is like a specific, especially important thing. I don't know if that's right or wrong. Whatever. Okay. Next, September and October, we have Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell versus Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pagnancy. That's not fair at all. It's Hamnet. It's Hamnet. And then November, December, again, Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer versus Wool Gathering by Patti Smith. Now, I loved Wool Gathering, but it is like, it's a little nice book of poetry versus like Into Thin Air, which was, you know? So I'm gonna say Into Thin Air. Which makes our top 6: Pride and Prejudice, Braiding Sweetgrass, Transcendent Kingdom, White Tears, Brown Scars, Hamnet, and Into Thin Air. What a good stack. Like, highly recommend. What a great stack. Amazing. I wish I could hold them for you. I do have most of these. Now we have to pick the top 3. And I might cry. Some of these, it just feels like unfairly matched. So maybe in the future I would like shuffle these. So it's like I pick my 12 and then I randomly pit them against each other instead of going in order. Not that that's like not kind of random. I don't know. Whatever. Pride and Prejudice versus Braiding Sweetgrass. Oh my god. Braiding Sweetgrass. Again, like if I'm going to invite you to read just one of those, I think that Braiding Sweetgrass is better. Okay, I'm kind of sweaty now. Transcendent Kingdom versus White Tears, Brown Scars. Like White Tears, Brown Scars is maybe more important to read. But as far as like, I just like really love Transcendent Kingdom, and I don't know. White Tears, Brown Scars is more important for more people to read probably than Transcendent Kingdom. But I think I'm gonna pick Transcendent Kingdom because when we're picking the top 3, sometimes we just have to go with our heart, and my heart says Transcendent Kingdom by Yaa Gyasi. Oh no, now I have to pick between Hamnet and Into Thin Air, and it's gonna be Into Thin Air, but like, does it have to be? Yes, it does. Oh my god. Oh no, this is horrible. This is truly horrible. This is the worst video idea I've ever had. I hate this. I don't want to do this. I want to scrap this. I'm so mad. I want to cry instead of make this decision. So now I just have my top 3 books of 2021, and I'm gonna pick a favorite, but I don't like it, obviously, and I'm hopefully not gonna cry in making this decision because it's just for fun. This is just for fun. We're just having fun. And the most fun book here is Braiding Sweetgrass. She's my favorite book. She was my favorite book of 2021. Wow. Well, you know, it feels good to have decided that. Now that I have like just literally circled one of these on my little note paper, I feel a huge sense of relief. Braiding Sweetgrass, again, collection of essays. We know that, we love it, but what drove me towards that out of these 3 is partly that it has so many different stories in it, and I don't generally like short stories, but these are not like that. I guess it's more of a memoir, So they're short stories in one life, which connects them all and makes them not separate short stories. What I mean to say is that like there were so many different kinds of stories that she tells about her life and her work and her experience. And so you just get so much out of it, so many different things. Like there's so many facets of life and love and the world that are all explored in this book. I am generally not a memoir person. I always say that, but then I'm like always wrong. I guess I like memoirs. I love Freighting Sweetgrass. I want to read it again. I've gone back and read some of the chapters again, just because I enjoyed them so much. So there she is, my favorite. All right, well, now I'm exhausted, I'm sweating, I'm parched, I need a snack, I need to like do some deep breathing exercises. I've had it. This was really tough, but I highly recommend doing this with your own reading, just for fun, because despite the effects that it's had on me, it was really fun. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for ringing in the new year with me and this chaotic little video. I appreciate every like, comment, and subscribe. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what this new year brings to me and this channel and, you know, us. So stick around and I will see you back here next time. Thank you.